Listen to Us Now is a podcast about the unheard stories of our youth, the stories of the voices who have been silenced. But we are the future leaders of the world, so listen to us now. I am Anastasia Consuelo.
And I am Milo Gomez.
And we are the hosts of Listen to Us Now.
Welcome back.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode.
In today's episode, we will be reading another story that was sent to us.
We want to remind everybody that our number one priority is to make sure that the person sharing their story is completely comfortable and up to date with the editing and uploading process.
These are not our stories, so we want to make sure that the people who these stories belong to are okay with everything.
Our podcast is open to every young voice in the Bakersfield area. And if you want to share your story through this podcast, fill out the Google form, which the link is in the description of this episode, or email us.
There are many ways you can share your story through this podcast, and call with us, writing it down, sending us your own audio, and many more. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or send us a text through our Instagram page. But enough of us, on to their story.
Trigger warning. This episode deals with a lot of hard topics such as death, cancer, self-harm, depression, drug usage, and eviction. If any of these could affect you in any way, please turn the video off now and take care of yourself. Thank you.
I was raised into a decent family. Me, my mom, little brother, my father, my mom's ex-husband, and her girlfriend. We had our share of fights, big and small, but we were all a family. Then when I was young, about 7 years old, my mom was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor. At my age, I didn't understand about cancer or how horrible it actually was. As I got older, I still didn't fully understand it, but now I definitely do. During this time, I was confused, and as I started learning more and more about it, I was a pessimist, and I fell into a deep depression as I realized that my mom would likely die soon. She fell in and out of the hospital, but her stays in the hospital were longer than her stays at home by this time. One day, she was home for a night, and it was amazing. Then I woke up and found her laying in bed, aspirating, but it was all blood everywhere. It looked like a murder scene, but it was all in throw-up and mostly blood, and she had to go back to the hospital. She was dead a few days later. I had a temporary best friend who, during this time, was the least supportive person in my life. I tried to call her because I was so shaken up after that traumatic experience, and she just dismissed it and said she didn't want to talk right now. Then she said she was coming to my mother's services as well, but then at the last moment she texted me that she doesn't want to go because she wants to stay home. I was so angry and mad at the world that I started cutting my wrist, and I was so lost and depressed. I was so alone. I didn't have anyone. I didn't have a coping mechanism, and my dad was just as depressed as I was. He started taking heroin again and developed a heart condition. My mom was the responsible one, so my dad didn't do the rent and anything, so we got evicted. Me and my little brother went with my dad because he had absolutely no plan to do anything. Me and my dad would fight because he had to do shit, and one thing led to another, and I'd be hitting him with something while he tries to swing at me. Every time we moved, I lost more and more of my stuff. One day, I was at my best friend's house, and I had a compelling feeling to check my Facebook. I checked my Facebook, and all of my dad's family were saying RIP. No one even texted me about it either. I didn't know how to cope, so I continued cutting myself. I went back to my motel room at the time to tell my stepdad, his girlfriend, and my little brother what had happened. They didn't know what to say, and I didn't either. I knew it was bad when my brother said he didn't care out of hurt for how our father had been, and the stuff he had done. I cried every night for so long, it felt like every day was just something new fucked up happening. Then one day I got a text from a girl in Arkansas. Her name was Jade, and she was friends with my father's sister on Facebook. I tried to ask who she is, but she wouldn't tell me. She just kept asking me questions about me, my brother, etc.
She would say she's sorry about my mom and dad, then one day she told me she's my sister. Well, half-sister. This made me mad because she's a few months younger than me. With the now new information of the cheating baby, I felt angrier, more confused, and more depressed. My half-sister's sister was extremely disrespectful to me, and she called my dead mother a prostitute and said a bunch of stupid stuff that made me so mad. My family didn't like me for a while because how hateful I was for so long. One day, my stepdad decided he didn't want to take care of me and my brother anymore. I texted my newer best friend and asked her and her parents if I could stay with them for a while because we were getting kicked out of our motel. I know that was because of my stepdad on purpose now. I went to my best friend's house, and my little brother was taken to my aunt's house by our cousin. However, our cousin decided he was going to take my brother himself. I lived with my best friend for a year and went to schools with her I never thought I'd go to. The whole time we stayed, I did everything for my best friend to keep her happy, and when I didn't want to do something, she had me do it anyways. During that time I was there, my initial best friend one day blocked me on everything, and I hadn't talked to her since. Now I look back and realize how toxic our friendship was. Her dad lost their house while I was visiting my aunt one day, and she texts me and says they were finally forced out and all our stuff was in storage. I asked her family quite a bit to take me to the storage to get my stuff, told them we paid to get it, etc. And they said they would, but here I am 1.5 years later and I lost everything for the third time. I haven't found my answer to how to cope with everything that had happened. So most days I lay not wanting to do anything, angry most days for no reason. I feel bad for my boyfriend. He's always with the sad, confused, frustrated me. It sucks. I just wanted my life to be decent. This is my story, and there's no happy ending, not by a long shot. But it's a story to be told, I guess. I usually wouldn't do this, but as anonymous, why not? I don't like sympathy, but I've had this feeling inside me for so long, and maybe what I need is to get it all out there.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening.
The person who has shared this story with us has asked to stay completely anonymous, so we will respect that.
If you want more information on this podcast or how you can share your story, check out our IGTV on Instagram.
Our Instagram and TikTok are at Listen to Us Now, but other than that, I am Milo Gomez.
And I'm Anastasia Consuelo, and this has been Listen to Us Now.